Boom. Hello.
Yeah.
I vote for you, but I can't.
Hey, Rachel.
Hurricane season in South Florida.
Yes. Hey,
Seriously,
I gave up blizzards for hurricanes. I don't mind at all. And we've been lucky.
me too.
Knock on wood. You in
There's not
Florida?
a
But,
there's not a hurricane today, right?
oh, it's storming
No.
right now. We just had thunder and lightning, and now the palm trees are blowing all over the place, and it's
Where are you at, Rachel?
at Naples.
Oh, I'm in the south end of West Palm Beach.
Oh, you're on the East Coast. Okay,
Yeah.
we're getting hammered. We got Sunday. It was like I thought our house was gonna fall down. And we got it Sunday, and then Monday, and today's Wednesday. It's still crazy.
Well, Naples has certainly had its share of being hit a few times, right?
No kidding. 22, we lost power for a week. Tell me about it.
Wow. Well, how is everybody doing tonight? Today, afternoon, sorry.
Happy hump day.
Good.
Wednesday. Mikey.
Over now.
So, Nick, is there anything I can go over for you today? Any
Yeah,
specifics?
I have a question on when you've already done your talk for your avatar and stuff like that. Mine is about a 30-second talk, but I need to add a little bit more to it before I can use it as an advertiser.
You'd have to redo it. You can't add onto an existing one. You'd have to cut and paste the script and then add more to it. Yep.
Well, that answers my question. Thank you.
But I like you got that far, right? I think that's the big accomplishment, right? You got to the point where you know that to already starting the second one. So congratulations
Yeah,
on that.
I can't wait till I get it out there and start introducing it to a lot of people.
Yeah. If you want to send me the one or put it in the chat, whatever you're comfortable with, the one you've done so far that you want lengthened, I can give you some comments before you do a final if you want.
Okay, it's sitting out there. How do I send it to you?
You can send it to me by text at 954-683-7755.
Wait a minute.
That's
Say that again.
954
954.
683 7755. And I'd be happy to review it and give you some comments, which some people, just so you know, have been doing, and which has been very helpful.
Okay.
I think helpful for both of us in the sense that I'm able to put some input in it before they go to print, so to speak.
Right.
It was,
Right.
and like one of those gentlemen yesterday was Gary Frick, right? Who I thought did a brilliant, 2.5-minute video in terms of it being perfect picture, perfect voice, perfect tone, very informative, very conversational, but it was 2.5 minutes. And it should have been half of that,
Right.
and he would have been just as effective,
Oh, okay.
because what happens is he when you're listening and you kind of think he's wrapping up, but yet he goes on another minute. It's kind of like they just hang up, right? They don't go back to that first minute and a half that they liked you so much, right? They just go,
Yeah.
I don't know when he's going to finish, and I'm cooking dinner, right? So
Right.
remember, even us, right? Let's call us a little bit of the older demographic, right? We've been socialized for shorter messages too, right? All of us live vicariously, even though we don't post on Instagram or Facebook, right? Who doesn't have a Facebook account and is not watching, 20-second messages, right?
Oh,
And so even you may not realize it, but it's like when Coca-Cola used to do a commercial for 60 seconds. They were probably upset when they found out they had to go down to 30, right? That one
right.
wasn't their day, right? But when you look at it, it never hurt their effectiveness, right? So occasionally on a Super Bowl, you'll see a 1-minute commercial, but it's almost like a movie.
Yeah.
The commercial goes on for a minute, you go, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
right? Or when Apple did Think Differently, which, I'm saying it is literally a rare occasion that you can grab somebody's attention for 3 or 4
Right.
minutes. Now, if you're in a community like this and we're doing training videos and we're doing Oprah videos, right? We're in the choir, right? We're happy to get the information. We already signed up for that information and delivery of that message. But I think 90% of everyone's focus on these avatars is to get someone to talk to you, to get someone to call you, to get someone to book a demo. As she said yesterday, in the perspective is most people are going to make a quick, emotional, and intuitive decision, not based on all the incredible logic that you gave them. Even though your logic is really compelling, it immediately tells you, I got to think about this. I have to evaluate what you said because you gave me so much to think about.
Yeah.
So even though your message is more effective when it's longer, sometimes it slows them down.
Yeah.
Because that's the way our brain works. It's like your conscious brain versus your subconscious brain. Your subconscious brain makes a decision on how you feel.
Mhm.
Conscious brain makes a decision on the facts that you give them.
Yeah.
And the problem with conscious brain is that by the time you evaluate it, you are no longer emotional about making the decision. So you just evaluate it a little more, evaluate it more. And that's when somebody comes back with more questions, more logic, because their common sense is telling them, I don't know enough yet to make a decision. All you wanted to do is have them call you back.
Yeah.
And you turn this into a sales cycle, right? Entire
Right.
process.
Right.
And,
Well, if you want to use an example for the group, I'm happy to let you use it. I thought it came out good, but I think there's something missing before it goes on to the commercial.
yeah. And I'm saying that's why I'd be happy to review it for you.
Okay.
In your own mind, when everyone here is like, do the gut check and going, does it have a good beginning? Do you feel the middle? And do you feel in that middle should start turning into the end? What is the beginning? The beginning is either about you, who you are, or about what you think they're interested in.
Yeah.
So for instance, you can say, hey, I'm Rachel. Or you can say, are you someone that does a lot of live webinars? Do you send text? Do you see what I mean? Both are valid, right? Both are a beginning. One is about them. So they may immediately go, yeah, that's me. And they listen, right? And some people are going to care more about who you are. So if you said, I'm Rachel and I'm doing so and so, or I'm Rachel and I just found something and I think you'd be as interested in as I am, right? Those are the little things that you'd be surprised in messaging are so compelling for the average person, right?
Right. All right. I'll
Okay.
redo it.
I'm sorry, I have a quick question. I didn't mean to interrupt. There's
By the way, Rachel, before you interrupt me, I want to say Phil copied your international ChatGPT moments in life. Yeah, he was doing Filipino yesterday. He was doing, Tagalog. I'm saying he was so excited today to show me him speaking in every language in the world. So,
Yep.
so thank you for sharing that in the community because it
Oh,
definitely had an
did I send them out to Gary? I did a
Oh, you-
French, Japanese,
you
and send them out.
Oh no, I'm saying you just mentioned that you did it and it inspired someone to go, oh my God, I could do it immediately.
This you got to hear though. So I sent it to my son last night. He goes, Mom, the Japanese looks a little bit like too strict. I said, okay, that's typical. I didn't say that. I said, how's the French? He said, I love the French. I said, what about the English? He said, it reminds me of a Japanese movie. Your lips aren't moving the same way as the recording messages. He said, you got to fix that. And I said, okay. He was very critical of all three because I was on the phone with him for almost an hour
Good.
after our meeting last night. And it was so funny. He said, you got to fix this. I said, okay, I'm going to do one of him next and I'll send it out to him.
Right. No, and when you do the language translation through the machine, through the generator, the lip syncing will be perfect as well, just so you know.
Right, yeah.
But,
The lip syncing was perfect through the language translation, but mine with English was not. That was
that's right.
so he couldn't figure that one out. So I said, okay. So
I love that. All right. Sherry, did you have something today? By the way, how did we do with our Shopify lady?
She definitely wants to go forward, but she's going on vacation to Alaska, so she's going to wait until she gets back before she signs up. Yeah.
And the reason I brought that up, Sherry, because again, it's a good teaching moment for people, right? Is here's a woman who has a very successful online Shopify store that she sells her products through Facebook Live. And she does it every Sunday and she gets 50 people on and she makes sales. And she's not really technically savvy, but she knows Facebook Live. She's comfortable, right? She doesn't stress that she's going to do the Facebook Live. And so when we started to say, oh, you could still do your Facebook Live, but you could also simultaneously broadcast, we could tell, Sharon and I both could tell she was in the uncomfort zone, right? It's like
Oh, yeah.
you're going to screw with what I already know.
And
I'm not
how
excited
technical
about
is it? How am I going
that
to do it?
idea.
It sounds too
Right?
hard.
And so we pivoted to what happens after the Facebook Live. Wouldn't you love to make a recording of your top 5 new arrival sellings? Wouldn't you like to thank people for having shown up and made a purchase? I mean, obviously, the wouldn't you like, which ended up in her being now excited about using the technology, because when she realized she only needed to take her best photograph, again, eliminated that whole issue. I don't want to do live recordings to go follow up with people. Eliminated the issue of how could I do this at scale, right? And so that's what I meant about some people come to us, or sometimes we think there's a great use case. And that's when you're truly a touch point platform versus a webinar on steroids, as we like to say, right? And it's funny because Sherry was great. She went with me immediately. It wasn't like I started to take her, okay, do your Facebook Live. We don't want to change what you're doing. And it was great. And actually that person is a client of Sherry's, not a friend, right? So she looks at Sherry for advice on how to market and move her products. So I thought that was a good learning curve on that.
For sure.
Anyone else have anything they particularly want me to go through today? Or any teaching moments, any teaching points in that perspective? Okay.
I have a quick question because I haven't been in it. But you, Rachel was mentioning how the mouth didn't match up with her avatar. So there's something that you can do personally to adjust that to make it sync if it's off, or
Sometimes you just have to redo it. Sometimes it's just like a take when you're shooting a movie and you need a take 2, right?
gotcha.
The Wi-Fi may have blipped for a minute. It can ruin it when it's recording. Sometimes it's a heavy photo that didn't lay right. I mean, so it's never an exact science. And if that happens and you call us up, we'll reissue some credits to do it again. But when it comes to that technology, sometimes if it's not a perfect storm, that certainly can happen. And most of the time, it's usually a Wi-Fi issue. So if it's recording and all of a sudden it skips Wi-Fi, there's nothing we can do about it, and we certainly don't want you to be punished. Like today, I was doing a demo, and my Wi-Fi was on slow, right? And my heart is just like, oh, they're going to think the software doesn't work, technology doesn't work. They don't want to hear Wi-Fi doesn't work, right? It's like I sent you a text. Well, if you sent me a text, I would have received it, right? I mean, there's certain things that no longer you can just get by with, even though it's true, right? You feel like you're lying. Go ahead, Helen. I'm sorry, you have a question.
What is the best way to onboard? I'm like a hands-on learner, so I need to successfully convert my stuff so that I can start opening up meetings that are convenient to my people's time zones, because these times that you're on are not in Africa.
Well, Africa's a little tough, right, on certain time zones, right? So I would say a couple of things, right? Is if let's say you have 4 or 5 people you want to onboard, and they're not available at 4:00, right? And you have my VIP calendar, and you see I'm available at 9:00 in the morning, maybe a better time, as opposed to it being a 10-minute demo. You can just convert that into an onboarding session, right? So make it easy. So you have a lot more flexibility, right, than 4:00. The only thing is just let me know. Send me a text. So I just know that what the expectation is, right, in that perspective. The other scenario is sometimes I do get a request if someone's in the Philippines with a 12-hour time difference, and we'll make accommodations. So someone in Australia, someone in the Philippines, and if I'm doing Tuesday night at 9:00 to the group, I don't want to do Tuesday at 8:00, you know, for that. But I quite honestly, I would do Tuesday at 10:00. Do you know what I mean? I'm saying I don't want to wake up at 6 in the morning, to go do it. So as long as we can negotiate something that's reasonable, you'll be able to count on me. And if it's not me, eventually it'll be somebody else. But for right now, I'm the best one to do the demo. So that's what I'm trying to do as often as I can for as many people as I can.
And then my expectations are, like, when I see a calendar, that I would like to be able to click on the link. The other thing is, my expectations are, when I see a meeting advertised, I need to see what time zone it's in. And those are missing.
Not
That-
it shouldn't be missing in Calendly because it's not our software. So Calendly adjusts to the time zone of the person that it's getting. And
Yeah.
if you on the email, the link should be in there. I'll check. And the
I'm
only
talking
limitation
about
of
on the website where we go into our community connections and we can
right.
pull up the events and we can pull up the calendar. For instance, I tried multiple times, and I even logged out, logged back in.
Well, why
Think,
don't you do this? Why don't you do this just to save time and efficiency? The
yeah,
person who builds our calendars are in charge. His name is Alvaro, and you can send him an email with your thoughts and suggestions. It's Alvaro, Alvaro. He actually would like to hear from you.
can you
He'll feel
put that
important.
in the chat so I don't make
Yeah,
any types and then
sure.
everybody can benefit? Thank you.
Yeah, and that way you say to him in the email. You don't have to say Steve sent you. Do you know what I mean? He'll know. But Alvaro at mypch.com. Okay, and tell him what your experience is currently, right? And then tell him what you'd like the experience to be, and you'll find him amazingly responsive. He takes pride in that calendars, so that's where he's anxious to serve you with that. Okay. Anything else, Helen? Because
Yeah.
again, you are brand new. And if anyone else is brand new today and you're going, is he ever going to show us the platform? Yes, I will for you if you're brand new. I just don't want to necessarily show the platform to everyone who's already seen the platform just to fill the hour. I'd rather answer questions or strategy if we don't have any new people on today.
Well, will we
But
just be able to?
like Mario, I don't know you personally, right, Mario? Nice to meet you. You know, and if I have met you on a demo, I apologize. Because sometimes I'm doing 20 demos a day, and I don't remember. Um, but if you need me to go through anything specific, just feel free to shout out. Because somebody else really wants me to show it too, but they were too shy to ask, so they're counting on you to ask.
Steve, actually, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mario's, I work with Mario. We're kind of partners in crime here as far as learning pitch. And I'm just, exposing him to pitch because he's very technically oriented. And I'm finding out that this morning that I spent, and Phil was on the call too, is that my tech skills, for what they are, actually works very well with pitch as I just keep pushing buttons. So I just want to say tremendous.
Yeah. No, I definitely built it for someone like myself who, even though I'm really knowledgeable about tech, I'm the guy who gets afraid of an IKEA furniture instruction scenario, right? No, I build for not. I will never be the guy that says you just watch the tutorial. Tell me what you think, right? No, because I can't watch a tutorial and then go back to this technology and remember what the tutorial said, right? I'm the guy, right? Like if I get a text for a passcode, if it's not right there, I have to click it 5 times to remember the number that I need to put into the email site, right? So I create for us, John. I just want you to know that, right? Because I always found in my life that the 5%ers don't need us anyway. They have their own workarounds. They have their own crazy things that you never think of, right? But if we could level the playing field, right, for the 95%ers, and that's what's kind of great about the crew that we work with. Even though I always say we have 25-year-olds that work for us, right? They're not building it for them, right? That's the difference. When I go to a technology trade show or something and I meet all these 25-year-old CEOs who can't tie their shoes, and I always say to them, what did you invent? And their world is so small, is that their use cases for their technology are so small that even if it's a great technology, no one wants to use it. They don't even know how to explain what they created and what it's for. And that's the big advantage I think that we have. But if you're partner in crime, Mary, if you've never seen the backside for a second, right? I do want to kind of brag for a second about the simplicity, right?
Yeah, check it out.
Okay. And so this is, if you log in for the first time, into our system, this is what you would see, right? It's very Zoom portalish, Google portalish, right? In the sense of, here's what you would, if you want to start an instant meeting, 2 seconds, somebody calls, can you jump on it? Here you can just grab your link. And this link is constant. This link works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, will work in any meeting. So if you're using Calendly, for instance, you can let Calendly schedule your meetings with a constant link versus doing it through our back office. Literally copy the link, email, text it, send it by carrier pigeon, entirely up to you. And then you literally just start a meeting. Right now we have 2 versions because we have some features that we did in version 1 that we haven't yet added to version 2. So this is actually going to merge, fairly quickly as we finish that out. And so I always start off with version 2, newer version. When somebody comes in on the phone, comes on an iPad, comes on the computer, because we're browser based and not download, the computer doesn't know sometimes, or your phone doesn't know, where's your device? Which browser do you want our device to be connected to? And most people don't realize that's how many devices it can be connected to. So sometimes you log in and you go, I can't hear you. And this is the number one reason why. So even though it may say microphone on, it could say microphone on to the wrong device. Same thing on your microphone, same thing on your speaker. So we didn't originally have this checkpoint. Sometimes people go, oh, I wish I didn't have to do that every time. Well, you're glad your guests do it every time. When they come on, they can actually hear you. And then you can actually test the sound, right? And then to join a meeting, it is that simple. If you notice at the bottom, because there's about 550 million people a day that are currently logging into a webinar now, we wanted them to feel like they're home. So the buttons are very similar by design. So here's your microphone where you can mute it. Here's your camera where you can hide from the world. If you're the host, you get a record button. You can also set this as a default, so it records every time if you're somebody who forgets to do that. I'll go through the setting button in a second. You may have heard that we have real-time voice translations. And as the host, let's say you're broadcasting to 30 countries and you don't know any idea what language is, who is, and what to speak. And you're thinking, do I have to go set this up for the world? No, you just hit translate. And as soon as you hit start translating, they're going to get a pop-up that's similar to this. And they can literally choose the languages they want to hear you in. That's all they have to do. So you don't have to be responsible for what language that they're going to listen to you in. And you can choose the language, in case you're not English, that you want to hear them in. Now, where it gets a little uncomfortable for people is they don't realize that when you hit the translate button, so we don't overwhelm the AI translator, we put everyone on mute except the host. So that way it's translating, because usually the host is the star, right, doing the most speaker. And then when someone else is ready to speak, they can't unmute themselves. And you, as the host, you just have to encourage them to do it one at a time so they don't talk over each other, because hearing somebody in French and German at the exact same time being translated is not the best webinar experience. But from a host perspective, and to John Jew's point, is how do you do international translations? How hard did they make it? Push the button. And so it's easy for the guest, easy for the host.
And it's an audio translation, right? We're not reading.
Both. You have a combination of both, because some people actually prefer transcription. And so you'll see the transcription either sometimes in the bottom. I don't know why sometimes in the bottom, but it's always in the chat. So you can do both, but it's audio and transcription. Okay? So if you actually had somebody who's hearing impaired, they can choose English and they'll get it in transcription, even though it's also being an audio that they may not hear. But that's kind of a nice perk if you meet anybody who's hearing disabled. Then there's also two types of screen shares, right? There's the traditional Zoom screen share, where you hit screen share, pick a tab, or pick a browser. Because it's browser-based like Google, you can't click the entire screen. You'll get that mirroring effect, but you can do an entire browser. And if you have a second browser open and go from tab to tabs, just like Zoom, right? Or you can just pick a tab. And remember, when you pick a tab, you'll see what you're going to be sharing ahead of time. So it's pretty easy. If you want to make, there's audio or video that you're playing, just make sure the blue light is on, which usually comes on by default. And that way they'll get sound in your share screen, especially that helps when you're playing YouTube videos. So that's the Zoom-esque Google Meet experience. No training required, nothing new. It works exactly the same way, right? But how do you do our magical moment? Does it start to get complicated now? No, it actually doesn't. So we call this one screen for screen share, and we call this one share for share a website. Click on share a website, and your menu immediately opens up. Now, even though the screen just got smaller, it's not smaller to your guests. It's only smaller to you. And to get that back, you just hit share again. So you can close it here, or you can close it here if you ever want to just see what they're seeing. It's that easy. Now you can literally type in or cut and paste from your browser any website in the world right here, and it'll come up. And you can literally then hit this little star button, and it'll become your favorites, and it'll be down here. So you never have to do that again. So you literally can just go from website to website. So like, for instance, I always use State Farm as an example. I don't see it. I hit the search. I could just start to type State Farm, and there it is. And notice I click on it. Now, I can also look at it before my guests do.
You're
Because,
not sharing your screen, by the
oh,
way.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was. Hold on a second here. Where am I? I get confused sometimes. Sorry. Too many demos. Okay, hold on. Stop sharing. Okay. There we go. Okay, tell me. So you can see me alone, right? Now, you can see my screen?
Yeah, this is what I was seeing
Okay.
before, though.
Yeah.
It's the video of you, and then on the right is the menu of where the websites are selecting.
Yeah, you're in
Yeah.
the right place.
Yeah.
So right now, because you're seeing me as if I'm the host in a whole nother session that we're not in. This is that view. That's why. Okay. So that's what I was saying to you if you were setting up a meeting. So right here, you see how there's preview, standard, and interactive. So if I want to share a website before my guests see it, because sometimes some websites are pretty poor and they lay out really badly. And notice in the lower right-hand corner here, it says 90%. I can change the size of the website in case it's off the screen or that perspective. And before I do that, I'm going to close it out because I want to see how it looks completely. And again, I can adjust the size. You don't normally have to do it. Most websites are mobily responsive, but you'd be surprised. I've seen them all, right? And usually when I bring up a website, I want to bring it up in standard mode first. Meaning standard means standard. I'm in control. Nothing magical. It's not interactive yet. I'm going to take someone on a tour of the website. Can go anywhere I want. I can change websites. It makes no difference. And then usually at some point, I have some call to action. Could be signing up for a newsletter. Could be downloading a piece of software. Maybe it's finding an agent, right? And normally I'm restricted by Zoom in those perspectives of what I can do. But to make it interactive, this is what I think our best user experience is. That's all I did. So I just want you to know from a user experience, it's interactive now. I'm in control. Let's just talk. I can do this all day long and bring up virtually any website. I just clicked on Juice Plus. It just filled up. So I don't even have to worry about typing. I could bring the site up. And then I can go anywhere I want on the site. The reason sometimes I want to do preview is maybe I want to not bring up the homepage. Maybe I'm only talking about a particular product. So I'm going to bring it up in preview, go to that page, and then bring it up in that perspective. So I'm saying can control the experience. Now, let's say, for instance, I have a Google slide presentation that I want to bring up. I can actually switch over to slides and click on one of the slide presentations I opened up. And I can start sharing that. This can even be interactive too. I don't know really quite the use case for an interactive PowerPoint presentation, but just so you know, they can touch the screen if you want that too. And I get to see the next slide before my guests do, so I don't have to lose my track of whatever that may be. Now, let's say, for instance, I made my presentation, I stopped sharing, and I want to bring up a website. I just flip back and it's right there, whatever I want to bring up. So from a user experience, this is what I meant. Once you play with it a couple of times, you go, oh my God, I don't need tutorials. In that sense, right? Now, the other important section is this one, people. So the people allows me, I'll see all of my guests. If I had 50 or 100 people here, they'll all be lined up. Each one will have a microphone and a camera. And I could block people individually. I could mute them temporarily. I could kick them out of the meeting because a lot of times people are in the car. You hear the kids crying in the background, right? You could put everyone on mute if you don't want to figure out who's doing it. Or if you know who's doing it, you could pick an individual person and do that. And you could block the microphone or mute the microphone in that perspective, which is kind of a really good feature. One of the other best features we have, and I believe that we're the only company in the world that has it, is in our settings. So let's say we're starting a meeting and you saw that participant list came up, but I don't want everyone else to see it. I want that to be only the host because some people come to meetings and they kind of steal names and they market to people. I mean, I've heard so many crazy stories. So you can hit hidden, and then the host is the only one that'll have that participant list. Let's say, for instance, you have the ability in the chat to raise hands, but you're making a presentation and you don't want to be interrupted. So you can lock the hand raising so it won't be distracting you as the host on the screen. All this in real time. Don't have to set any of this up to do it, right? When new guests come in, you can have them come in with their mic off. So you don't have to worry about if somebody enters and they're in a loud environment, then you have to go stop your presentation and go mute them in that perspective, right? So you can do that. Do you want to give the ability of other people in your meeting to share the screen? You can give it to everyone. You can give it just to host or anyone else you designate. So a lot of functions on the fly. But the other scenario, if someone has come in and they lose their audio because their microphone switched, just have them click on audio and they can check what device that maybe it jumped to by mistake. Speaker and audio, and the same thing with the camera, right? So these are really kind of, again, pretty simplistic perspectives, but the best feature, right, that I think we have that's unusual is, let's say we start a meeting and there's 100 people on, and you want the energy of 100 people in the beginning. You want them saying, hi, where you're from, and, excited about this meeting. And then you go, I want to start my presentation. And you don't want to deal with muting people out. You don't want to worry about people coming in noisy or unnoisy. You want to just focus on your presentation with a speaker or two that you may have. And you want everyone else focused on the presentation, not on anyone else. So you can literally turn a meeting into a webinar by pushing a button. And literally you hit activate webinar mode and everyone will disappear from the screen except the people with yourself and who you designate. And people can chat. They can send a text if they have a question, but they can't talk. They can't unmute themselves. You have perfect stillness and quiet in your presentation. And every feature that you have is still available, from the translations, I'm saying, to share a website, whatever that may be, right? So you're doing your meeting. Now the meeting's over. And I tease and I go, you want to have your narcissistic moment. You want to hear how great you are. You want everyone to talk, ask questions. All you do is you turn off the webinar mode. And now everyone is back in the meeting. So again, from a user experience, with all of these additional functionalities, it's more about becoming aware of them than learning how to use them. I guess that's the point. It's like a lot of people go, I didn't know your software did that. Yeah, as opposed to, oh my God, I'd love to do that, but it's so hard. I don't want to do that. Like, I can tell you, for me, when I first started doing this, like, I was afraid to hit the webinar button. I'm afraid to hit the mute button, right? It's that until you do it, right? And you go, oh my God, it works, right? Because I was afraid I muted people and I couldn't unmute them. It's like, I'm telling you, I go through all the same fears and the pains that you guys do until you actually do it, right? So any questions on that I've showed you before I kind of show a few? I'm sorry, you guys put a few things in the chat and I'm terrible about reading chats. Okay. Okay. Oh, John Jew left. Okay. Helen, look. Okay. Yeah, all right. So let me go through. Yeah. Go ahead, Gail.
Okay, could you go back to the goal, to the area where we're supposed to set up a meeting? The gold
Sure.
area, there's a lock at the top right.
Hold on a second. Make sure. Is this where you were talking about?
Yes. Now you see the top right in the gold area?
Yes. It says unlock here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. If you want to have it where people have to ask permission to come into your room, you would lock that.
Okay, got
See,
it.
room open. So right now, this means the room open. As soon as you send them a link, they can join your meeting, right? Some people, especially when they're using the instant meeting link and they feel like someone may have the link from a week ago because it's not a scheduled meeting, they can come in. And this is a very important meeting. This is private. I don't even want anyone to know that I'm meeting with this person, right? You can literally just click this. And then when they hit the link and you're in the room already, it'll say, John is trying to get into the meeting. Give permission. That's right here. Really easy.
Okay, so you said, okay, I'm the host and one of my links to start meeting will start and share as the same link. And so once I sign in or I start the meeting, I click that, or I click that before. I guess.
You would click that before. Click that
Okay.
before you start the meeting. Yep. You can't click it
Okay.
once the meeting starts because you're not there anymore, right? You're in the meeting now. So once a meeting begins, you can't change the status.
Okay. So
Okay.
is it a good idea just to kind of have it locked on a regular basis so you don't really have to remember?
No, I actually never lock it personally. Because if someone comes in, I'm saying, like, let's say, for instance, I've got 30 people coming into the meeting. That means I have to let 30 people in individually. I have to click yes, yes, 30 times. I started my meeting, someone comes late. I'm saying, so I personally never use it. I would only use it when, if I was meeting with 2 or 3 people, 3 to 5 people, and it's a private meeting, and I'm worried about someone coming in to the meeting because that person is concerned, that's when I put it. I think it's a rare occasion versus all the time. That's all I meant. But that's entirely up to you. If you do a lot of one-to-one meetings, you can have it on
That's what I was thinking.
all the time. So it's all about use case more than it is about um, a good idea case. That makes sense.
Okay. And I have one additional question. I found out the hard way that I think initially when I got started, I had one particular link that I was using and I sent it out to people, but now it's my scheduled meeting link. It's not the same as my share
Instant link.
or instant start meeting. They're two different links. And so I sent out the old link, which is the scheduled meeting, but it's not showing up in the scheduled meeting. So I guess my question would be, how
So hold
would
on a
I
second. So
access that?
let me just say. So when you're doing a scheduled meeting, right? Let's go test meeting, right? So everyone sees it, right? I pick the day and the time. I pick the duration of a suggestion. It's not a limitation, so no one's going to get cut off if you do the meeting. You decide whether it's recurring. See here where it says generate automatic link. This would be a different link that they would physically see for every meeting, right? So some people prefer that, right? This meeting will only be good for Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Or you can use my personal link, which will be the same link every single time. But because it's a scheduled meeting behind the scenes, that link is only good for this meeting. So you don't have to worry. I'm saying if you didn't send an invite link with that link, no one else is going to get into your meeting, which is another reason why you don't have to lock the door. But when you use my personal link, it's the same link every single time, as different versus an instant link meeting, which is also the same every time, but it'll be slightly different. So when we do that, because otherwise it can be very confusing if you don't know what your instant link is, you don't know what your scheduled link is, right? So from a simplicity, everyone can always have 2 links: a scheduled link or an instant link meeting. Does that make sense?
Okay, so I start the meetings. Okay, let me back up. My use my personal link is a link I think I first got when I started with Pxch, and then I got a second link when somewhere down the road for my instant access. So my point is, I sent out a link that's scheduled, but I never scheduled the meeting because it was an old link. And so now I'm wondering, like I have someone tomorrow I'm supposed to meet with, and they have my original scheduled meeting. I didn't schedule a meeting because I didn't know. Anyway, so they have a link. It's not scheduled, but how am I going to access that when I get on the call with them
When you
tomorrow?
have a scheduled meeting, they're always here, right?
But I
These are my.
didn't.
Oh,
If I didn't
if you
schedule
didn't,
it, and they
if
just
you
have a link.
if you didn't schedule a meeting and it's just an instant link, just hit start meeting.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna have to talk offline because it's not.
Okay. Okay. I'm
Thank
saying
you.
to you, there's only 3 options that are physically possible, right? There's an instant link with an instant meeting. Same link every time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Regardless of what it is, that link is 365 days a link. Same link will work any time of day. Okay. I'm just saying to you, these are the 3 possible scenarios, right? That's the link. Okay. Scheduling a link will also be the same link, but it's that link will be attached to a particular day and time that you scheduled through here. And if you want to know what that link was, if you scheduled the meeting, this is where I was going to, you can click on these three dots and you can view the details. So you get to see what link you used if you scheduled a meeting. So this one, for instance, is meet.mypitch.com/Steve. That's my personal link every time I schedule a meeting. So as opposed to my instant link, which I believe is going to have a number in it, right? Let me say that if it does. Yeah, see, this one is /Steve 91003. So I always know that if it has these digits in it, that's my 24-hour, 7-day-a-week link. Okay. If I do this, if I see /Steve, I know it's going to be my scheduled meeting link and it's only good for a day at a time. Third option, right, is I used this instant link in my Calendly. So my Calendly scheduled the meeting, right, using the same link at different times, right? And so again, those are the kind of the three ways that I'm aware of, unless there's a fourth way that I'm not aware of, right, of how you can create a link to a day and a time in a meeting. So I'm saying if there's something unusual about you got a different meeting, I don't know why your link would change. The only way that you can change your link, right, is if you go to my account and you go to my profile, okay? If you, where's my link? My personal account. So you see this right here is my instant meeting link, right? Or my, in this case, it's actually my personal link. So I can change that. If I wanted to be /John /Pitch /my team, I literally can go in here, hit edit, and I can change it. That's how the link, you can change it that you're using, which this is your personal meeting link. I don't know why it says instant because it should be personal. I have to ask them about that. But you can, so you can change it and it'll be that way every single time. Right? So Gail, if that didn't answer the question, right, then just call me after the meeting and we'll go through it. Okay.
Thank you. I'll reach out afterwards.
Okay. Okay. Which again, going back to this, so this is your dashboard, right? And you can see that we kind of went through that perspective. The My Reward section is when you get referrals, whether it be $50, $75, or $100 for every time you make a referral, or you have residual income. This is where you get all the records of all that perspective. This is where you would put in your payment, your banking information, so we can actually pay you, right? This is the profile section where I was. Also, a lot of you guys sometimes want to change your subscription. You want to upload it, download it. You want to change your payment information, and you go, don't look at the cancel my plan. Okay. But just so you know, all your information is right here on the subscription page. You can also get invoices here for your taxes. And now we've added a communication central. So you'll get the recordings of everything right here. You can also be able to join our on workshops from that perspective. This is where you can get meeting reports when you schedule your meetings and you want to see who attended. You can go right back there and then you'll be able to click on the reports. And my media, as you know, is where my recordings are, and which is your library. And then you'll also have your presentation tools. When I talked about that Google slide presentation, this is where you would upload your Google slide presentation and it stays there in your library as the player. This is where your AI studio is right here. This is where you create the AI avatar videos. And remember, there's 3 key elements to an AI avatar video. Pick a picture, write a script, and select a voice. And that's why we're so much more effective, right, than a HeyGen or a Synthesia. They're great companies. We're not better than them, but we're a lot simpler than them in the idea of that somebody can join today, make an avatar in the afternoon, and send one out at night. I used to say that was the best thing about Uber, an Uber driver. I say the reason it's so attractive is you can apply to Uber in the morning, you can get approved by the afternoon, you can get your first customer right away, and you can get paid before you get home for dinner. And that's what I always wanted to replicate in our business, right? You shouldn't have to go through 3 weeks of training, 20 minutes of understanding, right? And so when you want to make your own voice here, again, how simple is it? Clone voice, record voice, talk to it for 30 seconds. No special script, no special words, no special pronunciations, just sound like you. And then all of a sudden you've got your voice, you've got your image, and you can then decide whether you want to add a website or two. And you can decide after you render it exactly what second you want that website to appear. And then you hit generate. And depending on how many people are using the server, it could take anywhere from 15 minutes, sometimes to 2 hours. That's just out of our control. But it'll render for you. So any questions on that, guys?
I have a question. Can you do breakout rooms with this?
You can do breakout rooms in version 1. You can't do it yet in version 2. That's why we haven't merged it into one, because just for clarity for people, we took about 1.5 years to build version 1, right? We thought we were the smartest guys in town, right? And our goal was to build the best webinar, the interactive webinar platform. And then just before we launched, all of a sudden the AI buzz became crazy, right? About everything. And if you didn't have AI, as your middle initial, you couldn't get the world's attention, right? And so I went to our team and I said, what would it take to incorporate these ideas as an AI? And they said, well, the truth is we can build over on top of what we built, but if you really want to have a platform that is positioned for the future, we have to actually rebuild the whole platform from scratch. And I said, I don't have another 1.5 years in me to wait to go do that. And they said, no, the good news is because of AI, we could build it in 90 days instead of the first 1.5 years. We could actually take advantage of the technology that we're telling other people to take advantage to do that, right? So I said, let's go for it. And I said, as opposed to waiting to finish, I said, I want people to have access to the new cool features right away, even though we're not finished yet. So that's why we did version 1 and version 2, because we couldn't cut and paste any code that we wrote in version 1 to put it in version 2. It had to be rebuilt. And so that's where we're down to the last 2 or 3 features, right? And breakout rooms is one of them. So when you go through the breakout rooms in version 1, you'll find it very good. And we spent a lot of time building it. It's very Zoom-esque. I would say it's a very good competitive rival to that. I personally have never done a breakout room, or I don't train on it. I probably should, but I've been on other people using the breakout rooms, and I know we've gotten great reviews from people who came over from Zoom in that perspective. But I do expect that gap to close. So a couple of things we want to do. There's some things that in the chat that we built in version 1 that is very cool that we're going to bring over to version 2. Things like we're going to do like private one-on-one chats, group chats, floating text across the screen, so an AI agent we want to build in to be able to answer questions. Because if you have someone like me he's going on and on, but he's never said what the price is, and I got to go, you'd be able to ask the AI agent, right, certain questions that the host isn't covering for you. And it won't just be for answers about pitch. You'll be able to type in your URL or upload an FAQ from your website, so it'll answer questions that you give it for your meetings in that perspective, as opposed to ours. So that's, again, there's just, so much time, so many programming hours in a day to try to get things perfect. And like one of the things we're going to be experimenting with this afternoon is some audio improvements we're going to be releasing, some noise cancellation things. And I was going to experiment on you guys today, but I didn't want to ruin it. Because it didn't work. I didn't want to ruin this meeting. So we're going to do that, later this afternoon, in that perspective.
Quick question, since Paul and I are actually under one site, so I can do a
Uh-huh.
bunch of videos of Paul and it won't make a difference, correct?
When you say do videos under his site?
No, an avatar. I can do a
sure.
full avatar.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, you could do Oprah, Bruce Springsteen, Paul, you. It makes no difference.
Right, okay.
All right.
I've had
Okay.
a
Terry Marie, you have a question, and Sherry, then if you have one, and then Helen, we'll go back to you.
Yeah, real quick. Do you have any updates on the CRM?
Close.
by
We're in the middle.
chance?
Yeah, we're in the middle of it. It'll be pretty short period of time.
Like a month. I'm
Less than a
something I'm
month.
involved. less than a month.
Less than a
Perfect.
month.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Thank
We're
you.
pretty deep into it. Helen.
Do you know?
Yeah, and also when it comes to our CRM, our what we're trying to do is achieve two things. For people who don't have a CRM and don't want a CRM, but really only want to use it for us in the sense of if you send out your AI avatar video, you want to know if somebody clicked on it, how long they watched it, right? And so you know what to follow up. And also it lets you know, like my theory, you may say to me, Steve, you said it should be about a minute, but I've been sending out a 2-minute video and I can tell you 90% of the people actually watch the entire thing, right? That's the kind of reports that a CRM will allow us to be able to provide to you. And then there's a second group of people, right? Someone like Dave, who probably has a CRM and he's probably pretty sophisticated with it and he knows it inside and out and his team knows it. And the last thing he wants to do is train them on another CRM. So the idea is we'll be able to API that information into his CRM. So that's we look at it as providing a standalone and also providing a feeder into whatever CRM someone might be using. But our goal is for those of you that are using it for lead gen, for people who get in reports. So let's say, for instance, you did a meeting and 50 people came to your meeting and 27 people bought. And at some point, wouldn't it be great if you had in your library, and because you do the same meeting all the time, let's say you're selling Nu Skin or Herbalife, that you were able to, as opposed to creating a new avatar video every single time, you have it in your library. And you'll have one that says, thank you so much for coming to my meeting. I was really surprised you didn't move forward today because I thought I gave a great presentation. I'm not going to ask you to watch a 45-minute replay. But I will just say to you, you give me a minute. I just want to bring up what I think is our most compelling reason, our best product. And it comes with 100% money back guarantee. And I would love for you just to try it. So I'm saying you can have that in your library and look at your CRM, right? And going, trigger, 27 people now just went to work for you. They just happen to be 27 of you with your best message without worrying about your hair day, worrying about your lighting, doing that recording 54 times and going, Paul, you like this one? Right? You're going to have the one. He's going to always say, yes, it was great yesterday. It's going to be great today. It's going to be great tomorrow. Hit send, right? That's where I think is going to be a brilliant use case, right? Of making us a real differentiator between us and other platforms is because we want to address getting people to the webinar. I think we're going to end up doing a really good training on how to use an AI avatar to help your attendance show up. Like I remember Phil would always say to me, I sent out 300 emails, sent 300 texts, no one showed up. Yeah, of course not, right? But what if they had gotten a 30-second really compelling message from you of why this invitation is different than any other invitation that they're getting from anybody else? How powerful, right? You don't have to bring attention that it's an AI avatar. It's not every time you want to show off the technology. Sometimes you just want to use it, right? And the fact that they may know it's a twin or not, the truth is it's more about the message than the messenger. The messenger is you because they'll open it because of your thumbnail. But that message is, we had Oprah say so eloquently, if that message, it can't be processed fast and intuitively and emotionally, they're not going to make the decision that you want them to make. So if you give them 29 reasons in order to show up at this webinar, they're going, you know what they want after that? They want the 30th reason. You miss something, right? Because now all of a sudden you're thinking about everything you said. Right? First, getting all of that, going from emotion, leave the logic to me to go to work for you. Let me make that compelling because I can, in 10 minutes, I can get their brain working with enough facts and enough information for them to make that decision. And that's why, like Ray does a great job, of setting me up, giving them enough information so the 10 or 20 minutes I have with them, they can process that information as opposed to hearing it for the first time. And now they're going, I got to think about it. When Ray or Gary sets me up on a VIP demo, they say I have to get my head around it because they're so excited. They don't say, I've got to think about what I've just seen, whether I want to do this or not. They're thinking about how they're going to do it. And that's not because I've done a good job. That's because I haven't screwed it up. because of the good job that someone like Ray and Gary do in meetings, right? Where sometimes I'll have someone, come onto the meeting and they don't know if I'm selling them a color TV. They just know it's going to be something new and exciting, right? And it's like, okay, this is going to be a little work, for me. So, so Helen, I'm sorry, I can keep going. Do you have another question, Helen Stuckey? Because I just see
Yes.
you raise your
First
hand.
of all,
Okay.
I have to say I apologize, and I want to caution other people so it doesn't happen to them. When I said you're not sharing your screen, I was in very bright light, oncoming light. I couldn't see that you were highlighting that panel off to the right. I couldn't see it. So I moved to a darker room. And then the other thing, I was playing with, some of the settings, comparing them to Zoom and other products that I use. And
Oh, let me say this because I keep forgetting to tell people, right?
go ahead.
So if you have Google Meet, right, and you've done a screen in your background and you use our platform, it'll show up because it's browser based.
It is a Google Meets background, by the way.
Yeah, I'm just saying is you'll find like
I
Gary
can't
has
find my Google
Gary,
Meet
yeah.
background, but
I'm just
I'd
saying
have to,
like
I'd have to
Gary
log
has
in with the
this.
same email,
I'm just
correct?
I'm just I'm just saying what yes, same email. Well, not
Yeah, that's
necessarily.
the
I
difference.
shouldn't assume that, but it's
Okay.
possible. But I'm just saying I noticed some people come on to the meeting and they have a background they didn't get from us. Right. And I and I would always think to myself, how is that possible? How do you get that background up there? And they would always say, I don't know. I did to your meeting, right? And then my tech team told me, they said, oh no, because it's browser based, your computer doesn't know the difference between Zoom, Google Meet, and us, right? If it's a browser based, it's a camera, right? And it's that site. So I just thought that was an oh by the way. But
Well, that's
okay,
interesting because I do really like my backgrounds that I had in these
yeah.
other things, and I can't find how to put them in here.
Yeah. So again, you go to settings, and you'll see video effects, and you
Okay.
should be able to upload that. Okay, before we go, 4:59, clock's ticking.
I had one.
Go ahead, Sherry.
So I reached out to somebody and they asked me if this was like our link, and I had never heard of our link before. And so I found it and I said, well, shit, there's another one of us. So can you tell me what the
Yeah.
difference is between the two?
Yeah, huge difference. Our link is somebody that started about a year and a half ago, and they were white labeling another company called Meetin, which has basically Zoom and a buy button, right? That you can do. And then they didn't like the Meetin experience, so they went out and they built their own. And so they're very limited in the sense that they don't have an interactive experience. They have it where they can only make the screen active for either active for the host or active for the guest. Once it's active for the guest, they can't get control of the screen back. So that's is a very, very limited functionality. They don't have live recordings. They don't have real-time voice translations, and they don't have co-host links, right? So what you'll find, and they don't have avatars, right? So that's what I always say is we are not Zoom with a buy button, right? That's a product, not a company, right? And I'm saying we can create experiences that no one else can. So over long periods of time, there'll be people that will cherry pick an experience or two. They won't do it the way that we do it, right? But I always say we die by false comparisons, right? So it's like saying a Volkswagen and a Mercedes can both get you to the restaurant, but which one do you want to give the valet parker to? That represents you, right? It's a different ride, So again, I don't diminish what anyone else has created. And there's certainly elements of things that people will do. And to me, it's the best compliment, right? I mean, people always would say to me, what are you going to do when Zoom has makes it interactive? I'm saying Zoom's asking me the same question, right? We're in the innovation game, right? If people think what we have today is what we're going to have tomorrow, that's why, the BlackBerry is in a library. They didn't have a vision of what needs to happen tomorrow. And I think with technology, for someone like myself who loves inventing things, it used to be, like I say, a year and a half and a whole lot of money and a whole lot of time to invent something. And now by the time I finish thinking of it, you can create it. And so I love that competitive playing field. Having been Zoom's largest ISV partner for 4.5 years, I could tell you when they have an idea, it takes about a year and a half before somebody will say yes. I don't have to worry about them moving too fast, right, to play catch up, right? But I also say that if all of these companies in the future don't go in the same direction, then I'm probably not in the right direction, right? Somebody leads and somebody should follow if you're leading people in the right direction. And we're really leading a transformational technology change in webinars. In one of my earlier presentations, I shared with people about, 30 years ago, IBM actually invented the first webinar platform 30 years ago. And they had a capacity of 1,000 people and they had chat, right? And so when you think about it, it's probably the last technological communication tool that has absolutely no innovation in 30 years. None. I mean, Zoom, adding AI is not a technology evolution, right? An AI summary report, right? I'm saying, but the actual fundamental experience of getting on a webinar, turning on a camera, and talking to people and sharing a screen is as old as 30 something years ago, right? And that's one of the reasons that excited me, because not only is there 550 million people a day that are using it because of COVID, 100 millions more doing a recording, right? So we have a big enough audience where we don't have to going, well, we're inventing something, but no one's using it. We have to convince the world to use something they're not using. That's hard in technology, right? If somebody doesn't exist. But when everyone is using it and having experienced it, and almost, just so you know, almost 2 billion people in the world, 2 billion out of the 8 have actually been on a live webinar. Our audience is pretty big. But went even one step further. I didn't invent this with any concept that it could be used to send text, any concepts that it could be used to send email, any concepts that it could be used in a live social media streaming broadcast, and we could turn that into an interactive experience too. That's almost the technology taught me that it can do that. And then I was smart enough to see it. And that's how we've gone from Zoom with a buy button, which is, let's say, what our link is in companies like Meetin, right, into a touchpoint platform. And so that's where this is really far more exciting, and that's when it's interesting that when people copy us, right, they don't copy the right thing. They don't copy the thing that makes it the most effective, right, in that sense, right? And that's where you can see, it's not like I looked at the competitors and I went, oh my God, I didn't think of that. They didn't just copy us. They went way past us at hello, right? I feel embarrassed. I feel embarrassed to get on my webinar tomorrow night and tell people we're the coolest when, if they look across the street, I've got to almost make an apology. That's never happened to me in my whole career yet. May happen in the future because there's a lot of smarter people out there. But that's why when somebody says, like this Saturday, I did a training, and I was in Guatemala at a wedding and I'm still doing a training for you guys, right? Because this is who I am. This is what I love. This is my moment, right? To try to create something that is unique. Doesn't mean we're going to succeed, but we're going to fight like hell to make sure we do it. So anyway, that's enough of me going on, right? So Terry, last question, and then we'll do it till tomorrow.
And real quick, what do the file sizes have to be for the thumbnails and for the image to be our background?
I honestly don't know the limitations. I know we increased it recently. We put in some compression software, but I'll find out I don't know with the change what that is, but it's been increased dramatically. That we were able to compress it behind the scenes in most cases. And but I will find out the limitations for you. All right.
Is it what you see, what you get for the background? Because it cut half, most of it off.
Don't know. I'd have to take a look.
I'll play with it.
Okay.
I'll figure it out. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. It was fun today. Thank you for letting me just rant. as
That's it.
opposed to train.
What you're there
Good
for.
job. Thank you
Thanks
so
for letting
much.
me come in.
That's right.
All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
You.
Bye,
now.
everybody.